Hi, welcome to the workshop. Come on. In we go. I'll give you a quick pan around from the centre-ish, and then I'll go through each section. I'll tell you what works, what doesn't, what I'm planning to do, and the secret room. So I built this place nearly 2 years ago. Finished it over about 6 months because I was just dipping in when I could. I would say 50% is from reclaimed stock and 50% was new purchased materials. The roof and felt and feather edge was all new, and the ply walls, the ply floor, they're like 40mm thick fire doors made out of ply. I got all those from the reuse hood in Wolverhampton. They were a bargain because they almost just about covered the floor, and they were £18 each, and they're 40mm thick. The insulation I did have to buy, all the foundations, all that was what I had lying around. That is pretty much it, and things like lights and electrics. My brother did the electrics with me. He knows electrics, I don't. Unfortunately, a week after finishing is when I had my heart attack, which I've mentioned in another video, so I won't go on. Let's look forward. And it took about 5 months before I was really fully back in here. So I was always playing a bit of catch up, getting it finished. But now I've recently rejigged a few things around, and if you saw my recent I quit video where I tell you that I've quit my job and doing this full time, it was very apparent that I needed this to be a bit better functioning as a business rather than a hobby. So I've put a few things in place to help that, and I'll show you around all the sections and what I've done and what I intend to do. And stick around to the end because I will show you the secret room, a very recent addition to the workshop, sort of, that is going to help immeasurably with so many aspects of the business. So let's have a look around and I'll show you what's what. So let's talk sizes. The length is 3.6 meters, and that's around 11 foot 10, and the width is 2.3 meters, which is 7 foot 6. Don't need that now. Let me show you this first. This is my only real dedicated indoor storage for timber, where I've got these 3 brackets there, 3 brackets along the bottom, and it's where I pile everything up. My last video was building an outdoor timber store, so check that out if you want to see that. But that's where all the storage is. Plug wise, I've got 4 double sockets, which I thought at the time, oh, that should be sufficient, but I'm finding now maybe I could have done with a couple more, but it's not a problem. I just take a plug out and put another one in. Now let's have a look at the main beast, which is the table saw and workbench. In somewhere as small as this, it was a challenge because I still wanted a big workbench. Literally immediately as you walk in, it's the 8 feet table and workbench, but it is on casters. So knock them up, bad choice of phrase, and it's light as a feather. And then I just get a lot more space down here, and that's quite useful if I'm leveling a table or putting some finish on. Not that I'll be putting that much finish on in here from now on. Oh, I've said too much. Let's bring you down and we'll have a look at what I've got underneath. Underneath is where I keep the shop vac, which covers sanders, bandsaw. If I'm at the drill press, I'll take the lead over, and the mitre saw, and general vacuuming up around the place. The good thing about having such a small workshop is this is quite a lengthy lead. I got with the Connects kits, you know, these things, and it can pretty much, especially as this moves around, It can pretty much reach anywhere in the workshop. Now, my thicknesser and table saw was having a few issues, so I recently got this Lumberjack 1200 watt dust collector. The advantage being it's got a 100mm pipe. Now that's permanently hooked up to my table saw, but when I get my thicknesser out, I can just hook the attachment onto my thicknesser. The thicknesser's not got that big an aperture anyway, and I don't understand why, because it would generate the largest chips out of any machine, but it is what it is. And with this, rather than what I used to use, it's already proving a good investment. And I just want to say about Lumberjack, I ordered this and when it arrived it wouldn't turn on, and I got in touch with them and they said it's probably a wire that has come off in transit, and I checked and it was, and I was able just to slot it back on. 5-minute task. I cheekily said, well, you know, for the inconvenience, is there a goodwill gesture? And they gave me £7 back. So I've always had great experiences with Lumberjack. Some of the lower budget items, you do know what you're getting. You have to realise at that price point what they're going to be like. But as a company, they've always been really, really good. So fair play to them. I've mounted them on here so they can effortlessly move around with me when the table saw moves. The plugs are there on their own little hooks, and I can just plug them into the socket and collect the dust. Now the workbench itself is 117 by 85, so it's a decent size, probably a little bit too big for a workshop this size. When it's in this position nearer this end, it is extremely close to the miter saw and my voice, so there is a bit of, you know, samba going on when I'm working my way around and in and out. But luckily I'm a natural dancer. So let's go round from the other side. And as I said, it operates as an outfeed table for my the old Rutland's table saw. I'd like to upgrade it eventually, but now's not the time. Starting this as a business, I've found I've become so, not penny pinching, but so cautious in every penny spent, which can't be a bad thing really. So there you go, there's the table saw. Now, what we've got here, I'll tell you what we've got. We've got the very popular amongst a lot of woodworkers I see, the record power air filter, and can't fault it. It's got a timer, it's got 3 speeds, it's got it does everything you need. I have it above the workbench and table saw because I do a lot of routing, I do a lot of sanding, and it's convenient to have there. But I've been really impressed. So even in a small workshop, 2 types of dust collection and an air filter, I feel are the safety aspect tends to lead where the money's spent, or at least for me. So, a couple of spirit levels, my 6-foot one and a smaller one, tape measure, which I know is always by the table saw, and a couple of old blades from the table saw and the miter saw that I swapped out for superior blades. Then in the corner we have that's just my blue roll on top. Down here is a metal cabinet. I got it from my dad's shed when he moved about 2 years ago, and I don't know, it's like, you know, if you had a dad who worked in factories in the 80s, they'd always be coming home with something or other. I don't think I'll get him into trouble for saying that. I know one guy who used to walk out with a leg of lamb down his trousers. Anyway, here we go. The top one is all my finishes. Second one is glues, white spirits, bit of wood filler, like all bits and bobs like that. Then the third one down is all my epoxy, so cups, syringes, paddles, and everything I need to do when I mix up a bit of epoxy, and my dye. And the bottom one is what I affectionately call the scruffy hiding hole. So that's where everything is. That's, I think there's a few cloths for when I need those. It's like a bazillion of these wipes that have all dried up, so I just squirt them with water, bit of window tape and a soldering iron that I've never used. Now I'll just bring you out because this is a recent addition, and it's the tool wall Now the fancy saloon style trim at the top of the window is actually off my old bed headboard, and I saved it and I thought, oh, that will fit, so I did that. And then I've got most my power tools, so my plunge saw, jigsaw, circular saw, multi-tool, my drills with drill bits by the side, then the planer, belt sander, lumberjack orbital sander, which I've just ordered the Metabo SXE 450. I want a 6-inch sander rather than a 5-inch, just to make jobs go a bit quicker. It's got a turbo mode for quicker removal, so hopefully I won't have to get the belt sander out as much. I've also got a little staple gun. I've got my 2 rotors, my Old Works plunge rotor and my Katsu palm rotor, and all my new rotor bits from Axminster, because the other ones I bought off Amazon for cheap were no good. Now this little stack here is what used to house my sanding discs, but now I've gone up to a 6-inch. I only built this for 5-inch, so I will have to build something else, and it'll probably go on the side there as well for all my 6-inch pads, because I've just invested in a load of my favourite grits from the the Kubatron, the M3, the M3 ones. I don't have a bin. I usually have a bin bag, and that's the bin bag. Now, one addition that I did put in was putting all my measuring things together. So my square, my favourite tape measure, combi square, little engineer square, the T square, a lot of square stuff, good spirit level, my digital calipers, the dowel jig, moisture meter, angle finder, pens and pencils, sharpeners, flush saw, big square. Now all my measuring and marking is in place. I always return it at the end of the day, and it just makes everything a lot quicker and efficient. Now onto probably my favourite purchase in the last 12 months, and it is the old Bosch PBD Papa Bravo Delta 40. This thing is brilliant. I'd never owned a pillar drill, and the research I did quickly showed me that I'm not the sort of guy who wants to be messing around changing belts, and I would have kept it on 1 speed and been like, oh god, have I got to? But this is just fantastic. The only thing is that the bed doesn't move, it's the whole drill that moves. I've also got underneath here, I'll move the bin bag out of the way, that's where I keep all my jigs and track saw. So tapering, angled jigs for the pillar drill, straight cutting, pallet wood, all those sort of things are kept down there. And then this is a little tray that I made into a drawer, and it's all the drill bits that I haven't displayed. So the stuff I wouldn't use as often, like a sanding flat wheel maybe, or a hole drill. And in the corner I have all the main drills that I tend to use, and my plug cutters, Forstner bits which I want to upgrade, spade bits, and everything needed. Now in the old days the miter saw bench or station used to run the length, but when I bought the drill I thought it's a good excuse to really reconfigure this, because if I'm cutting something longer than 1.5 meters on the miter saw, I may as well just do it on the circular saw. So losing that didn't make a big difference, but it's been a huge gain with what I can now fit in that corner, because the bandsaw used to be over by the entrance and it was always in the way, but now I've managed to move it here. So there's my Rutland's bandsaw. Underneath here, another couple of hidey holes. It's a bit of a don't know where else to put it tub, and a general toolbox. So all sorts of things that I probably wouldn't use often, like a plasterboard rasp or something like that. All my instructions to everything in here are here, because I'm not a mechanical minded person by any stretch. So I keep all these so I can refer to them before going on to Google and finding out the answer. Onto this little section. Now, this Stanley bag was originally bought as a little tool bag, but I tend to use it to ferry all my filming equipment, microphones, chargers, all that back and forth from the house when I'm doing the videos and editing and everything. So that's all. I know everything to do with filming is in here. And also there, I just charge my batteries up. I haven't got a dedicated battery stand because since I got rid of a few Ryobi things, I've only got the one battery now, and that's DeWalt. This cabinet I recently built and then rejigged it a little bit. So I keep all my chisels in this little chisel holder, and then underneath the mallet that I made that's generally used when I'm doing chisel work. Next to those, in this cupboard on the top, I've got tapes and blue roll and all the anything of a circular nature. I've got the temperature and moisture meter, so we're at 23 degrees today and the moisture content is 52, which is pretty good because when I'd left it for 5 months and come back in it was 80, so not good. But it's been nice weather lately, hasn't it? So it's not too bad. The top shelf is things I need on a regular basis, and I know they're here. So there's a couple of hammers, a couple of Stanley blades, Stanley knives, pliers, a few different types of screwdriver, and I know whenever I need them, they're there. The next one down is my number 5 Stanley plane, my block plane, my 2 spoke shaves, this little Japanese block plane, and my card scraper and rasp. And on the bottom, looks a bit of an hodgepodge, but I know where it all is. I've got my sharpening stones and system. I've recently invested in some polishing compound, so now my wife picked up an old bit of leather in a charity shop the weekend, so I will be making a strop. I always keep my glue bottle. I mean, these are brilliant. I know there's all manner of things you can do with them, but I think I got these off Amazon and they were about £6 or £7, and there was like presumably ketchup, mustard and mayo because they were red, yellow and white. I keep my super glue and activator, my glue brush, my pocket hole that is mounted on a jig, so when I need to use my pocket hole I can just put that in the vise and I'm ready to go. And there will be a lot of that coming up because next week, hopefully, I will be doing a video on building a whole garden furniture dining set. I've got 2 Japanese whetstones going from 400 to 8,000, a honing guide and then the flattening stone. And the only thing in that section then underneath is all this wood storage. So there's all what I've just showed you, and underneath is this. Now, one of my bugbears in here is this. It is so heavy to keep lifting onto the workbench and off again when I need to thickness something. Now, I could use it on the floor, but because the floor space is of a minimum, I never find I have enough in feed and out feed. I'm toying with the idea of putting it on some kind of car jack, or you know, just to or some kind of mechanical lift, because you know I'm 52 this year for Christ's sake and I've only got one back, so I need to look after it. But that's underneath here and I can slide it out on this, slide it back in, and little dustpan and brush as well. I have this, which is just a flat drawer that catches any dust through holes underneath the mitre saw. And then we have the mitre saw that I did cover in a recent Rutland's review. Got my dust extraction. It's quite close to the vacuum, and I think that's a very important point, because I know if I've had a day where I've been a bit laissez-faire with the dust collection and I'll start croaking, then over in the corner I keep my PPE. It's okay, all those screws have just come today for the outdoor furniture. Keep my PPE, my gloves, and this, and my drink. This shelving here is a bit of a, it's another one of those, well, I don't know where that goes, so I'll put it there. There's like my panel carrier, my whiteboard, cork matting, those, I don't know what you call them, the non-slip mats for when I'm routing or sanding. I've got a few furniture fittings and feet. These, which are my, when I'm putting finish on and I need it off the table. Lots of books, lots of pens. I don't do SketchUp, I'm not very good, but I do like drawing. So for me, every project I like to just draw out and sketch, and it works for me. It's not for everyone, but it's sort of how I operate. Bit of cling film, bit of string. Like I say, it's one of those, bit of everything going on here. And there is a big old tree cookie from the garden. That blew down in my own garden, and there's a video on that where I flatten it, but it was too wet to work with. But it's slowly drying out. I've epoxied the middle, so eventually I'll probably, I think it's about 5 inches thick, but I can already tell by the weight that it's getting a lot lighter than it was. So, and it just feels a lot drier as well. So I will be doing something with that soon, but it'll need a bit more flattening, I think, with all the epoxy now on it. This is my little chair. Sometimes when I'm sat at the workbench and I'm trying to work out costs or figure out a build or materials, or I'm trying to work out angles, I've got a stool to sit on, I'll sit at the workbench. So here's the sum total of my clamps. I think I've got a couple of G clamps. I've got in the region of about 13 varying sizes of F clamp. I've got 4 of these Axminster parallel clamps. I've got 4 squeeze clamps, which I need more because they're not very good either. I've got 4 of those, and some little clamps on the end that I don't tend to use. And up, this was such a great buy. I can't remember how much it was. It might have been about 20 quid. And before, all my screws were in a drawer. I couldn't get to them. But now, I bought this. I think there's about 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 6, 30. So there's 30 compartments. I've named them all. Some of them have fell out. But now I've got so much, and what I'd like to do is probably move this a little bit higher up and put another one in below. But when I get more clamps, I'm gonna have to put a clamp rack in. So, and I also have to be careful because I could reach up here. You just can't see inside. Like, I don't know what's in there. Nothing. So that could probably go higher up. Then the next one would come to about there, but it's gonna be tight for another clamp rack. So I'll see how I go. And we're back round to the door. Lighting. I have 3, 1, 2, 3 of these 5-foot LED strips, and I've got that window which was made from 2 pieces of glass from a display cabinet that I made a window from. And as I say, I've got that window that was my son's friend's dad's a window fitter, and he was selling an old one, so I bought that and put it in a wooden frame. Didn't you say something about a secret room? Well, we need to go outside. Come on. So this is our gym. There's a treadmill, a pull-up system, a weights bench, a punch ball. But the new room that I'm referring to is here. This is a new room. Now, if I show you acoustic panelling on the walls, an insulated separate room with double thickness doors and that sort of stuff, you'd be right in thinking this used to be where music was recorded and sung and mixed. I used to have a desk over here by the window, and in here It's pretty dark, but this was where I would come in, and you can already hear the sound changing, and this is where I would come in, shut both double doors, and I could sing as loud as I wanted and no one would hear me, which was good for the neighbours and good for my embarrassment. But unfortunately, with the woodworking now taking over, I don't have any time at all really for my music hobby. So my guitars, keyboards, microphones and so on are all just in the old vocal booth, which was a bit sad when I put it all away, but you know, it's always something I can revisit in the future. But this space was too valuable for two reasons. Professional photographs. Now that white sheet needs a bit of a steam and a shufty out, but this is where, with a couple of lights, I'm going to be taking my pictures. We looked at professional photography, but it's just not feasible to keep having to get a professional photograph done with constantly changing stock. It's not like I can make one thing and go, this is what's going to be selling all the time. So this is now going to be a photo setup, and there's just a few things I recently built. That stool and that side table were covered in a YouTube video, and this is a little sapele side table that I finished. But yeah, I bought a couple of lights, an inexpensive backdrop for about, I don't know, like 70 quid for the two. And that'll save, hopefully, the need for professional photography. Obviously, I'm not saying photography's easy, but for the budgets that I'm working in, £250 to £400 a day photo shoot, or £70 outlay and take them on your iPhone, it's a bit of a no-brainer. Now, over here, I've got some stock, because that's another thing. I didn't have anywhere for stock to go. I've got about, I don't know, 70 odd 80 coasters that I made, but I don't like them, so I'm thinking of making a tabletop out of them all and pouring some epoxy on the top. I've got this, which I absolutely love, and it's my first time working with walnut, but it's yeah, a walnut charcuterie board, but that was a pleasure to make. It didn't take that long, and it was just so nice, such a nice wood. And then further down, I've got the sweet chestnut charcuterie boards and chopping boards that I've made in previous videos. It was a music room, it's not now, but it'll all be put to use now, because I don't think it would have been feasible in such a small workshop to be able to store stock and take photos and all the rest of it. Also, I'll bring stuff in here to put a finish on as well, which is really good, because you know, if you're using something that requires a coat a day for 3 days, you don't want the dust off your other projects getting on your work. So this has been really good for that as well. I can just bring it in here, put a coat on. It's only like 12 steps, 13 steps, whatever, from the workshop, and it's all good. So that is the workshop tour. This is the secret room. I think it's going to be a real good addition to the business side of things. And now I've just got to start cracking on. The website is planned to go live, fingers crossed, by the end of May. Next video I'm doing is going to be a garden table and two benches, two 3-seater benches either side. The wood's coming for that in 2 days' time. And there's going to be plenty more about how the business is going to function. We've had a few late nights and a few discussions on that, and there is so much to learn. And apparently woodwork businesses fail because you're a woodworker, not a businessman. That seems to be a theme. So luckily my wife is very good at that sort of thing. I'm not, but together hopefully we can crack it and make a real good go of it. But if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed seeing the space I work in and coming to every day now and call it my workplace. And I will catch you in the next video. See you then.